Hello, all C-rank recruits. Welcome to the World Trigger Podcast. I'm talented elite agent Matt M, and with me, as always, is A-rank agent Renji. Renji, how's it going?
I'm actually very excited. We get to do episode 16 through 21, and as always, episode coming towards episode 18 is really where it's gonna start hitting off.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, we're not reporting into any directors this week. We don't have any new recruits to promote to B rank, so it's just the two of us this week.
Yes.
So, I got a bit of a weird tangent beforehand, if you don't mind me going on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Alright, so I'm technically single right now, I guess is the best way to put this. I've had a couple of dates scheduled, and it seems like most of them I've been getting stood up on, and I've been wondering if that's just been my thing or if there been like neighbor attacks. I've been kidnapping these girls since.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm gonna go with the fact that I think it's just me, because if it isn't an enemy attack, then Tamakoma's not doing a good job with their Canadian border agents here.
They're not. They're lacking. In fact, it's almost as if they've cut down on the security because of their budget.
That's true. That's true.
They're getting taxed heavily.
Okay, good. All right, I had a weird message pop up on my recording device, but we got plenty of time for that, so no worries there. All right, so we'll just move straight into episode 16 here on our recap. The future moves forward.
Yes, it does.
So, at this episode, we finally get the complete victory of Jin and Ashiyama's squad against the border elites trying to take Yuma's trigger, which includes Double Sniping Man.
Satori.
Yep. Meanwhile, Shiori finishes up her explanation to Yuma and Osamu about the triggers for border, and we're introduced to the optional triggers such as thruster and chameleon, stuff like that.
Ooh. Optional trigger. That's
Mm-hmm.
to me, sounds like something that you can stack on top of another trigger that you might already have.
Well, that certain ones do have it. Like chameleon is one. I think chameleon just might be an optional trigger on top of bagworm. I'm not 100% sure about that. On top of that, thruster is one for Ragus that increases the speed and power of it.
Which is interesting because of the other combat triggers that are used. That one it's not really suited for combat, but it has something that can increase its attack power similar to Kogetsu.
Mm-hmm. A little more durability and a little more speed with thruster, but as you recall, it's not exactly the easiest thing to control, mainly when Osamu used it the first time.
Yes, that was a tragedy in the making. He seemed like it was controlling him more than he was controlling it.
Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, after that, of course, director Rindo wants to, confiscate Fujin from Jin because they had a real fight outside the training hall, and that's grounds for trigger retrieval or surrender. But of course, Jin shows up. Hey guys, it's me, Jin. I kind of want you guys to stop going after these guys. Well, we could just take your trigger by direct border by border guidelines. Yeah, but here's the problem. If you do that, then you gotta take all your best agents' borders away in order to be fair. Otherwise, you show that you're playing favorites.
Yes, and that's the funny thing about what Jin did there. Like, it's almost as if when he walked in there bravely like that, he already knew what the deal was. Like, he didn't like stop and have to hesitate. Like, he instantly knew what his rights were being a border agent.
Mm-hmm. Plus, the best part is here's the deal. You guys stop going after him, and in exchange, I'll give you the Black Trigger Fuji. And it's only at this point where the rest of them stop and go, oh yeah, not for nothing. We don't even know if this Black Trigger that the neighbor has is even compatible with anyone from us.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a it's it's more of a steal for them to get Jin's trigger than rather caring about Yuma's black trigger, because Yuma's black trigger, for all like you said, for all we know, it's exclusive to him and no one else could probably use it. But by them obtaining Jin's trigger now, that's a different story,
Mm-hmm.
because it's more susceptible to be, diverse. And
Mm-hmm.
they love that diversity.
Mm-hmm. As we've seen with him having Canadian agents in the manga, way, 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 way farther down the line. But meanwhile, another thing, Jin says something rather interesting at this point. They are going to be useful for your real agenda. What?
Real
I,
gender.
I still don't know what if that's been revealed yet or not.
No, I don't think so. Because remember how whenever they mentioned about Yuma's dad and how they were all just, you know, clenching up and upset about if he was alive or not. And then whenever they mentioned about, like you said, his actual agenda, and like there's it's so much mystery behind that, because you see all the good that Border's doing, but that makes you backtrack a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, after that, we kind of cut back to Tamakoma because it's revealed that he's given it up. Yuma's no longer in danger, and Jin's now just a normal agent. He's not a S rank agent. He's just a really skilled agent. He's just going to be going after the top attacker spot now. But at the end of this whole thing, he does say, holding up his hand, "It'll be okay. The future started moving forward."
I believe it'll be okay, at least for now. Poor Jin, though.
I get the feeling that somewhere down the line, we're gonna lose Jin.
Please don't say that. Please don't. That's.
I know it's not something that people want to hear, but because he's made himself really likable. But the problem is that this setup alone right now in this episode, we get very Game of Thrones.
Oh, sheesh.
And,
Man.
and the big thing about Game of Thrones is nobody's ever safe.
Nobody. Like, there's no main character, or specific main character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone's a target. Such as I don't want to think about it. Let's continue.
Yeah, so we'll just go over to enlistment day, border official enlistment, because this is when Yuma and Chika officially are now agents of border, although they're C rank recruits. Yuma's still somehow managing to stand out even with his border uniform by having a black one instead of the normal white one.
Yes, the same one that we saw in one of his flashbacks.
Yeah, so
I think.
Still a little weird. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But, Chika, or Kitora shows up. And she's talking with Osamu. So, Rolo T Senpai's probably at this point like, yay!
Ooh, Kitora.
But, we find out some weird, interesting things like how if you're more proficient in border triggers at the official enlistment day, you start off with higher points that you use to go up to the next level. Which
yes, would. Oh, well, continue. My bad.
Yeah, which you need about 4,000 to move up to B rank. And of course, we get the debut of everyone's least favorite characters in the series, the Idiot Trio.
I don't think they were idiots. I would call them the arrogant trio, maybe, because they came in having those extra points, thinking that, yeah, they're really good and compatible with their triggers, but when it comes to them facing in a team setting, it just didn't work out because all of their egos were just too big.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't think they're idiots, but ego idiots.
Well, we find out that Yuma, of course, is standing out because he's going through all the attacker training because he chose to be an attacker, and he's like getting perfect scores on everything. So he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm number one of the class, no big deal. But this is so boring. I only gained 100 points this week. Or I only gained 100 points from doing all of that. Yeah, it'll take you 49 weeks to get up to B rank if you just do that all the time. The fastest way to do it is rank wars. And Yuma goes up against the Idiot Trio. Oh my god, this is so easy!
Oh, so wrong. The way he did it in the performance, like he gave them no room for improvement. He literally sideswiped all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They believed they had a chance just because it was 3 against 1. How wrong they were.
Oh, I remember in the manga, he's just duck facing through the entire thing, and he's even doing Sentai poses after beating him.
Yes, he was. Oh, Yuma was showing up. Oh, I can't wait till we get further because that moment, there's a certain character that whenever he was doing that reminds me of whenever he was doing the duck faces and the poses.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can't wait till we get to that.
But meanwhile, Osamu is talking with Kitora, and she's like, well, why are you with all the new recruits? And Osamu just goes, oh, well, I'm actually here submitting my transfer paperwork so I can transfer to Tamakoma branch. And that's when, I keep forgetting it, Scruffy Hottie, what's his actual name?
Karasuma?
Yeah, Karasuma shows up, and he's talking with Osamu, and Chika's clearly, or not Chika, Kitora's clearly got a crush on him as her senpai figure.
Uh-oh, making Rolo T Senpai jealous.
Which is funny because later you see her getting super jealous at Osamu when she finds out he's the student, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you don't want him as a teacher. He sucks."
For crying out loud. Oh man, that's too much. Poor Kitora though. I feel her up on that.
And
Karasuma.
this is the first time.
Like,
I think this is the first. I think this is the first time that we actually see underneath the I'm holier than thou persona completely.
Yes, I love that. I love how her image completely changed in the presence of, people like Karasuma.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see much of her encountering with Jin that much, but definitely the Tomakoma 1.
Mm-hmm. But kind of after all that, Chika is in the sniper. There's like 8 new snipers in the entire division, and she's Reiji actually like taught her a little too well because she's like, should I move after I shoot? And all the other guys are like, snipers don't move after they shoot. You're such an idiot, ha ha ha. And the other guy's like, no, she's right. But you don't learn this until you're B rank.
Yes, that was potential already seen in her. Like, especially coming from what's his name? Azuma.
Mm.
If that's correct, well, yeah. I remember he's from the number 1 team in Border, I believe. And he was a sniper, and he's a sniper, and for him to acknowledge, her potential even at that point, speaks volumes.
Well, it's kind of hard not to evaluate her potential when she blows a hole in the side of the training building.
What?
Now keep in mind, throughout this entire thing, we are told that training triggers are nerfed. And Chika, with a training trigger, still put a hole through the side of a building.
That's a lot of training in one blast.
And it still wasn't enough to nerf her. Imagine just how truly powerful she could be with a full actual official training or non-training trigger.
Exactly, which is dangerous, which I can understand. Those border walls are created with thick Treon. Like, you saw how that
they're made out of concrete and like Trion resistance.
Yes, like that's a problem. Like, she has to be put on a leash or something.
Yeah, it's funny because the one of the two guys is like constantly like oh, he broke the rules. I'm the short fat one. I'm the Napoleon one. And he comes in, he's like, what the hell happened to my wall?
He owns that wall.
It is his wall because he's part of R&D. He's the head of R&D.
Donald Trump. Who put a hole in my wall?
Oh, God. It was funny because that happened, and he's just like, what happened? And he goes, we had a training accident. How could you have a training accident? We nerfed those triggers for a reason. Sir, and then this is the part that gets me the best. The guy goes, oh, they must have hid their Trion readings from us so they could make a big splash when they got here.
I don't know how they managed to do that.
I could see like Konami being the one with the paperwork about, yeah, here's their Trion readings, and they burnt up. Yeah. Karasuma, you tell him what happened. It was a new training trigger. The spontaneous combustion. Wait, really? That's what happened? They just burned up in my hand.
Oh man.
Oh. But then we get to the end of the episode. Osamu was challenged by Kazuma, the number 2 attacker. And he was one of the guys that was going after Yuma's trigger.
Holy moly patrol.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, we're about to recap it. It's episode 18. The episode that Renji's been excited for the most. Renji, why don't you take the recap over for this for a bit?
Okay, so it starts like this in the episode 18. Like, Kazuma comes down, and, you know, he comes down to the training facility, like, where everyone's training, and he mentions, because everyone's talking about how good Yuma is, and how good, you know, the people from the new agents of Tomakoma are doing. So, Kazuma realizes this, and he also thinks, you know, I want to test out a certain one of Jin's Kohai. And Yuma happens to be in the area where they're having the little training facility at. And Yuma thinks, oh, okay, it's me. I'll challenge you. And in the midst of all of it, you know, Osamu's just being Osamu, just like, huh? And Kazuma, he's like, no, I want to challenge you. And he points to Osamu directly. And Osamu just can't think of any reason of why someone, an A-rank agent, and the top 2 of teams in Border would want to fight him. Like, and everyone's telling him, like, you don't have to fight if you don't want to. And he's thinking to himself because, you know, he's got his mentor there, like Karasuma, who knows Osamu's, you know, weaknesses and whatnot. But Osamu looks at Kazuma very sternly, and Kazuma is just, you know, still looking at him as if he's gonna take the challenge or not. And you know how Osamu is. He folds. He's like, yes, I'll do it. And then everyone's like, oh no. So at that moment, you have one of Ashirama's teammates. If I remember correctly, his name is Tokieda. So Tokieda is like, yeah, he starts, you know, doing Osamu a favor by going through and, you know, cleaning up the crowd, as I would say, because, you know, he kind of knows the outcome of the situation beforehand.
It's just gonna be a slaughter.
Yes, and as they're making their way into the training room, right off the bat, like, Osamu gets into his battle ready stance. He starts thinking about, you know, what type of his opponent is. And at the same time, Kazuma is analyzing Osamu in a very similar, you know, in a very similar thought process. So he's like, okay, he has Ray Gust. And then he has Asteroid on the right side. So he's a defense type shooter. So instantly, Kazuma knows how Osamu is going to respond whenever whenever they start fighting. So they start fighting. Kazuma uses Chameleon. This is probably one of the most, how should I say?
It's a slaughter fest.
Yes. So as soon as he uses Chameleon, Kazuma, Osamu loses all total sight of Kasama. And he proceeds to shoot a few of the asteroids. And he totally gets whammed. Mikumo, down! Instant. No real effort whatsoever. So, after the first time he goes down, Osamu, gets back up again. So, it goes down like this, as Matthew Senpai would say. It's a slaughter fest of Kasama going in and out of Chameleon and striking back to back to back. And Osamu was just sitting there struggling, trying to figure out every which direction of how Kazama is going to fight. But he just keeps going down. He's like, man, there's something that's not right about this. He knows that Chameleon is not invincible. He knows that there's some point to it. And in the crowd, you have his mentor Karasuma is wondering when Osamu is going to figure out, the weakness of Chameleon. And also Kitora mentions something like, because they were talking, Yuma was also talking as well. So she says that, it's better to win to gain experience and winning than it is just gaining experience. And, Karasuma kind of like praised her a little bit for that because, yeah, in a sense, when it comes to most battle situations, you don't have enough time to respond constantly to plan strategies. Like you have to be able to know on the fly and be able to win matches because winning is the best experience other than, just going back and forth. Because going back and forth, yeah, you'll get experience over time, but will that really make you a winner at winning? So after that little conversation happens, it gets down to a point where Osamu's like, man, what can I do? And he just sits there on the ground, and Kazama goes up to him, and he's like, I'm sorry for, wasting your time. He tells that to Osamu, and Osamu just sits there, laid on the ground, like he normally does. Slightly disappointed, but not surprised. But before Kazama, fully walks away, he states that, I wonder why Jin would give up Fujin for this. And Osamu's like, what? Jin gave up his black trigger, Fujin, for us to become a team? And that's the moment where Osamu, he takes some time to get himself up, and Kazama smiles a little bit after Osamu says he wants to go one more round, because I'm pretty sure Kazama knew that would be the one thing to get Osamu to actually think and try in this round. After facing Kazama, I think it was around 20, 23, 22 rounds, Osamu realizes something about Chameleon. That for a split second, Kazama has to come out of Chameleon to actually attack Osamu. But it's in the moments that Osamu has to track Kazama's attack pattern, because that was the main thing that Osamu couldn't stop, because Kazama was too fast and he would attack each time he came out of Chameleon. So Osamu tries a few things. He played it off as in if he was going to use the shooting, like, cause he shot backwards at the wall because he was going to wait for Kazama to go in for close range because he knew that Kazama had to go in for a close range attack whenever he went in for Chameleon. And Osamu knew this. So instead of he did that as a diversion to activate his thruster on his Raygus shield. So this slightly catches Kazama off of, like, by surprise. Like, Kazama's like, oh man, I didn't expect him to do that. Like, I expected him to hold that last round that he was having to fire at me, but then I would deflect it back after coming out of Chameleon. No. Osamu used thruster with Raygus, and he pinned him up against the wall. Like, he literally pinned Kazama up against the wall. And not only that, he enclouded Kazama within the Raygus shield because the Raygus can change its shape. And this is a surprise to me that Raygus can be used in another offensive manner as in an overshield. So he put the shield over Kazama to, track his movements. And that was, and as I was mentioning before, in his attack pattern, he was using what we all know as the notorious buckshot. Because he was just sitting there he slowed down the bullets. Because he realized, yeah, Kazama can't really do much with Chameleon if I put all these bullets in the air. But Kazama was able to fight through all of that. Well, anyhow, flashing back forward after I had to flash back some. It gets up to this moment where Kazama's just looking like, oh snap, what the freak? What's going on? And Osamu just, screams, asteroid! He opens up the shield, and he does a blast. Boom, smokes everywhere. Everyone's shocked and surprised because they don't know what's going on. And as comes to everyone's surprise, it's a draw. It's a draw. Like, simple and clean. Although, in the moment that Osamu was about to use Asteroid, Kazama was able to activate his Scorpion in just a nick of time, when the asteroid exploded. And I'm thinking that because of the attack pattern, it caught off Kazama completely to where when you're put in that state, you can't really move or think much, but he did have time to attack still. And everyone's like screaming, oh my god, Osamu, it's a draw. It's like, what? And even the, what's his name? The people of Suwa Squad are just, they're actually very surprised that someone like Osamu was able to match up with someone like Kazama this early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of going to have to flash back a little bit because, like, one of the guys from Suwa Squad, before Osamu wanted to declare for another match, he still wanted to see what Osamu could do despite, the fighting, because they had looked up from their view, they were looking at it in third person. So they really couldn't tell what was going on. They've seen them talking, and then they started, going back at it. But overall, they get finished with the battle and everything, and Kazama is kind of like, he's startled a bit. He's thinking, he tells Osamu, well, he doesn't really tell Osamu, but, like, whenever they're coming out, like, he's talking to everyone else, including Karasuma and those who are watching, that, you know, with a little bit of wisdom and creativity, he doesn't see anything wrong with that. He could go a long ways with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually, you know, gives Osamu like a smile on his face, like, well, maybe there is some hope for me. And Karasuma is actually, you know, like trying to boost Osamu too. Whenever he was talking to Kazama, he's like, so how was he and whatnot. And I think that in that sense, people probably understand that even though he wasn't ready, he wasn't nowhere near ready at that moment. He was able to find, like, you know, some of the reason, his spark of why he's one of Jin's Kohai, why he's not just some agent that just, you know, that Jin would give up his Fujin for.
Mm-hmm.
And moving along, so after all that comes in, Kitora does her normal thing that she does.
Her tsundere.
Yeah, she just, how should I, well, you can kind of take over up on this one, Senpai, because this one is just, at this point, I'm like, this is the part where I just kind of try to shy away from.
Basically, at this point, there's the last member of Arashiyama squad who wasn't there for everything else. Comes running up and goes, Osamu, there's been an incident in sniper training. And we get up over there, and you know, Chika's sitting on the ledge, and the R&D director is just like, oh, it's okay. We just didn't realize how strong you were. We need to re-nerf your trigger.
Re-nerf is just a politely way of saying it.
Yeah. Basically, it's just basically, oh yeah, Chika's a freaking monster.
More like everyone in all of Jin's Kohais are monsters.
Mm-hmm. For the record, guys, Kohai is basically just like younger students or juniors under him.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That was my fault.
But we're gonna hop into the next episode at this point because there's not much else to really recap after that. Episode 20 here, or episode 19, guys. Rank battle. Shun Midorikawa's plan. Basically, at this point, there's rumors going around about Osamu with his battle with Kazama, how he's able to tie him. And he's just sitting there in the lunchroom like, I want to tell people I lost 20 times in a row, but I can't. It will be too weird if I say anything. But then all of a sudden this boy that's not in any like border uniform shows up and he's like, hey, I heard you tied with him. How about a battle? And
Just like Osamu.
Osamu's like, sure, why not? Osamu, you're an idiot. Don't you think you should know the members of your organization, or at least the top agents, so you know who to look up to? But anyway, during all this, Yuma and Replica are actually talking about money, because you know Yuma wants to get a drink, and they're at a vending machine, and they're like, huh? So I use this piece of money to get a drink, but the paper's worth more. but this is actually worth more in
Oh
materials.
my goodness. You know that at that point it was like World Trigger was kind of being like rebellious to like I kind of saw like a revolution thing. I was like, holy crap! Like World Trigger just actually acknowledged like one of the main issues in like current modern times. Like why do they use money to pay for things and all this other stuff, which is kind of funny. I'm
Mm.
like, holy crap!
Well, Yuma's used to being in a land of war, but his actual comment was just, I don't get why this sheet or this paper money is worth more than like metal money. But then he breaks it down and he's holding all this change and he goes, "Huh, I got more money out of this." No, no, they have different values and they're less valuable. He drops a coin, and he's by Miwa and Yoena, the spear guy.
Spear guy.
Yeah. But Miwa's just kind of a complete and utter jerk. He's just like, "Oh, you're a border agent now. Huh. You're still a neighbor. You're a filthy neighbor. You're a filthy neighbor who will never be human."
Duck face Yuma activates.
He's just like, "I just can't fight you because it's against border policies. But you're still a neighbor, and I'm gonna find a way to kill all neighbors."
I sense weakness.
I sense racist, because Yuma actually turns on a dime and he goes, "Hey, I know why you hate neighbors, and I can help you get your revenge." "No, I don't want your help. I don't want your help in finding the people who killed my sister. I don't want help from a neighbor finding another neighbor to kill a neighbor. That's really..."
I guess Yuma was State Farm. Like, your neighbor, State Farm is there. Like, I felt like Miwa was actually going to go along with what Yuma was saying. It was like, Miwa was like, holy crap, really? I can get my revenge? And he was like, hold up, wait a minute. Like you were saying, a neighbor? No, I refuse to get any help from a neighbor.
I'm not interested in your help at all, baka.
He knows deep down inside he wanted to take that help.
Yeah. Well, I think the best part of all of that is, God. Well, I'm trying to think of a funny. I'm trying to think of. Oh, okay. What? You're gonna pay for my food, and you're gonna give me $20? I'm not stupid. I'm just gonna take the $20 and go get my own food. That's basically what he was doing.
That strategy, I'm not sure if that's the... never mind.
Well, we forgot to mention that the true best character of World Trigger was there, Reiji Maru.
Oh, man. He's I would say, I call him the mascot, other than Replica, but he's the true mascot that's humble about it.
No, Reiji Maru is the best character in World Trigger. He's the only one that can match Junior in all of his trigger abilities.
If you rub his belly.
You don't understand. Simply by rubbing his belly, your trying levels increase by 5 times. You just gotta sit there and rub his belly for about 3 hours to do it.
Poor Osamu. Why you don't rub Reiji Maru's belly?
Oh, it's simple. Reiji Maru doesn't like him.
He's like, no, you're unworthy of my belly. Oh, but yeah, Chika can rub my belly.
Oh, God. Yeah, let's just make Chika a freaking orbital cannon at this point after rubbing my belly for like 6 hours straight.
Oh, man.
But going back
I wouldn't want to see that.
But yeah, Yoena, the spear guy, actually challenges Yuma to a fight. And Yuma's like, "But I'm a trainee. I thought trainees weren't allowed to fight official agents. And somebody steps in and goes, well, technically they're not, but we can have a sim battle where we don't have to put up any points or anything. Oh, okay, let's do that. And they get over there, and meanwhile, Osamu has been getting completely slaughtered by Midorikawa. And there was like a big crowd at the fall because it's like, oh, this guy tied with Kazama. He must have something. Osamu lost 0 to 10. And Midorikawa was just like, oh yeah, I'm done playing with you now. Go away. And this actually, we get something new out of Yuma. We get legitimate anger out of him.
Yuma gets angry. Episode 19.
It's weird to see. Because even, I think it was Yotaro that says, is Yuma angry? He's not making a duck face, so I don't know if he's actually being serious or not. But of course,
he was serious.
Yeah, we know he was serious. There is no duck face. The way you measure if something is serious or not is the amount of duck faces you have in the series. If it's supposed to be
comedic, was a hazard sign.
If there's a comedic scene going on, there will be a duck face. If there is a serious scene going on, there will be no duck faces.
No more duck face.
So that leads us into episode 20 with Clash, Yuma versus Midorikawa. And they're going a 10-round battle just like before, and Yuma loses the first couple of rounds. Or rather, he gives up those wins so he can learn how Midorikawa fights. Because after that, Yuma is just like, yeah, things are about to change. Your buddy's not going to lose anymore. And they're just sitting there like, wait, what? And sure enough, Yuma wins. Then Yuma wins again. And he goes 8-0 in the last 8 rounds. And Midorikawa is just like getting angrier and angrier that he can't catch up. And then in the last couple of rounds, he's realizing, he played me like a fiddle.
Kind of like worse than that. I mean, it's nothing like letting your opponent underestimate you, and you just go back and absolutely steamroll them.
But we forgot to mention, Yuma's just like, oh, I'll give you all the points I have if I win, or if I lose. Oh, so what, you want some points then? Okay, that's fine. No, I don't want points. If you lose, you have to call Osamu senpai.
Ooh, and I knew from that moment when he said that, no one wants to call Osamu senpai. I believe that is like the greatest disrespect.
He was just...
He's like, what? Call Osamu senpai after I just dusted him like he was... No! You knew that was gonna spark off. Yuma was mad. I know exactly why he did that. Yuma was ticked off that, Osamu... him knowing how Osamu is, goes into that match gullible, and then someone like Midorikawa is just like, ha, I'm gonna expose you for a fraud that you are. Ha ha ha, I'm gonna just play around. Oh, you suck. Now I'm gonna go on to the next person. Then I'm done with you.
Yeah. But, of course, Osamu's just too humble, so after that, and when Midorikawa comes out after losing, he's just like, I'm sorry, Osamu, I was just kind of screwing around with you. Osamu just goes, no, it's okay, it actually helps clear up the rumors, because I only tied him once, I lost to him 20 times straight. And Midorikawa is just kind of like blinking, like, wait, what? Wait, you admit it? But that doesn't make you a fraud then. And Osamu's just like, oh, at least I can finally come clean because I wasn't able to speak up earlier.
man, I really was kind of upset about that because I was like, they should have just kept it up under the wraps that Osamu got that tie up on Kazuma. But whenever Osamu exposed himself like that, I was like, no, you gave up the mystery. Like, I would have loved for Osamu to go throughout Border and people being freaking scared crapless of him.
Yeah, well, that that ain't gonna happen.
I know.
But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, Jin shows up and he's just like, "Hey, Yuma, Osamu, the director wants to see you guys." And of course, the mystery returns to Osamu. Like he said, he got lost to him 20 times, and yet the director wants to talk to him. Well, what's going on? And Matt Four Eyes is sure mysterious. So Osamu's back to square one.
He doesn't catch no break. He's like, loses 20 times, gets one tie, gets called by the main director of Border. What? Logic. Who is this guy? We don't get called up to the Border director.
Yeah. Yotaru, Yotaru is mounted on Reiji Maru, of course. Reiji Maru, best character of World Trigger, and the five of them go into the meeting. Osamu thinking everything over, just kind of constantly being reminded to get in the elevator, get out of the elevator, and we learn that yes, Yotaru is related to Shiori, but we also learned that Spear Guy is also related to those two. I think they're all cousins, if memory serves. So it's like, yeah, so it's borders still kind of all over the place. That's just kind of shows how inclusive of an organization they are. And then they also they use Yuma's help to kind of like prepare for an upcoming invasion. Dun 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 dun.
Ultimate icebreaker. Invasion?
Yep. So we move into episode 21 then, the neighbor world. Replica kind of or Yuma just kind of goes, well, I don't really have the best way to help you guys with this. Let my partner take over. And like, your partner, out pops Replica. Hello.
Everybody's shocked.
And they're like,
what is that?
wait, you have a triad soldier? Well, you can't use that in rank battles. Well, I don't plan to. He doesn't help me at all. And Replica's just like, yeah, your map's like a 4-year-old made this. Here, I've got a much more updated version, and let me just update yours. And by the way, there's this new cappuccino setting on this, and done. And their map goes from like a 4-year-old drawing a map of your house to maybe I want to say like a 7th grade level map, because Replica says, yeah, this is still probably a little bit out of date.
And everyone's looking like, this is out of date? To them, that looks like freaking interstellar college level.
Yeah. And Miwa is there, and he just goes, God damn it!
Meanwhile, it's burning on the inside. He's like, wait, so those are all the neighbor worlds? All the neighbors that I want to kill?
God damn it.
There's too many of them.
And we finally learn the names of all the other... We finally learn the names of the different divisions of the neighbor world. Like the main ones. Liberty. I kind of have my notes down here. But we have Liberty, Leophora, Kaleo and I can't say it.
Yeah, it's after Crater.
After Couture.
Oh yeah, after Couture. I don't know why I say after Crater. I think it was someone that had said that one time I was listening to. I was like, what? It just got stuck in my head.
Yeah. But we kind of learn about all these. Okay, here we go. Well, the first one here, Libra is a maritime nation of the neighbor world. There were four that were currently approaching the human world, and it's the one with like the most like a very water style. So it'd be great for fighting in places like Minnesota and stuff like that, but probably not like Japan because it's very water based. The second one, Leophora, is a nation of the neighbor world that has their Trian soldiers as mounts. So they might have been part of the group that attacked Yuma during its flashback. I think they're the second strongest nation as well, if my memory serves. Uh, then we have Chion, which is the snow-covered one, so the perfect one for fighting in Canada and Russia.
I think that's if they go there, that would be like awesome because I think that they have like the way that the setting looks, it just looks a lot better than the other ones that we saw.
And they're part of Apto Couture. And on top of that, they have 6 black triggers. Keep in mind, guys, we've only seen 2 black triggers. Yuma's trigger and Fuji. And these guys got 3 times as many. And they're only part of Afto Couture, which is the largest military state in the neighborhood, was what they call the neighbor world. And these guys have 13 black triggers.
Yikes. Oh, boy.
And they're the strongest ones, so we have no idea. We have no idea.
Can't even imagine that.
So they're training every one of their agents to be ready for these guys to come and fight. Because they have no idea who's coming.
That's the worst part. Like, man, a country that had 6 black triggers, and then you've got, to top it off, there's another country that has 13 black triggers. 13? That's like, that alone, those 13 black triggers alone is larger than probably a big chunk of the division of border itself.
Oh, those 13 black triggers probably could take on every A-rank agent at once by themselves.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure that their fighting style is not what, people are used to. Like, their fighting style is more of, they probably don't cater to bailing out like, how Border does. They probably cater to total annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't just go after the they go after the entire person. Like, they fight to kill because, I mean, that's just how it is in the neighbor world.
Well, at least these neighbors have a very distinguished feature about them. They have horns that are like trion receptors that kind of increase the trion abilities of their people. At least,
Nice.
according to Replica, that's part of their look.
Man, so it's got people with horns that give them a boost in triumph.
Mm-hmm.
To top it off with black triggers.
And this is one of 4 nations coming towards the human world.
Man.
And unfortunately, that's where our episode list kicks off, guys. So I kind of get the feeling that, the invasion's probably going to begin. It's most likely after Couture, because we got the most information out of them.
Yeah, and it's very stressful, thinking about, the invasion and how everything is going to play out, because we don't know what setting or, this whole situation of why they're coming to attack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would some place random want to come attack Border, or of all places? Like, what did they do?
Well, I think they actually already explained it earlier. I think they're after people just to use as Triumph. I think that was previously established.
Oh, right, because they just need the extra power supply for their soldiers.
Right, or that's what we're that's what we're thinking anyway. So yeah, I think at this point would probably be a good time for us to just kind of let our thoughts just kind of hang there for right now, and we'll probably be getting along to our next batch of episodes here next week. If you're cool with that, Renji.
Yes, we'll definitely get back up next week and let it ride.
And I think we are probably going to try and live stream next time. If you want to know where we're going to be live streaming from, check us out on Twitter. We are at World Trigger Pod on Twitter. I'll also post it to our Facebook page, or the World Trigger Podcast on Facebook. If you have any questions for us about World Trigger or anything like that, give us an email. That's worldtriggerpodcast@yahoo.com. And if you want to be part of the potential World Trigger D&D style game that I'm currently working on the mechanics to, shoot us an email to the World Trigger Podcast email, or send us a tweet or something. We're more than happy to have people contribute to this.
Definitely send us a tweet. Like that's the we're very responsive on contacts and things such as that. Like, we see someone who's interested, like, we try to hop on that as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think of what else. We're inching closer, guys, to the return of Annalise and Roll OT to our episode, our recordings. And we just need to keep going at it.
Oh, indeed. Each week and each episode as we progress, I see a more positive outlook upon most of the fans and audiences that are watching and listening to us. Like, it's not something that it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time and consideration and whatnot, but overall it's just enjoying the show and pretty much going along with the motions and having a trigger.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're on episode 20. We're going to be starting on episode 22 next time, guys. And we are 28 episodes away from the filler episodes.
Sounds like less than a month, I would say.
Yep, we are. Oh, we're just about 4 weeks away, guys. So keep us motivated to go through this, and we will get those two back on, and we will have a nice discussion. Hopefully, we can live stream it.
Better believe. So you want to go ahead and get ready for the trigger off?
Yeah.
Or the bail out?
We're not bailing out. We're just triggering off.
But yeah, we're triggering off, not bailing out. I was just thinking that as a joke.
All right, well, trigger off.
All right, trigger off.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed our episode. If you want to help us out even better, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. We are at World Trigger Pod on Twitter. We also do have a Facebook page that is the World Trigger Podcast on Facebook. And if you have any questions, recommendations, suggestions, or anything like that, go ahead and give us an email. Our email is worldtriggerpodcast@yahoo.com. If you want to be part of the game that I just started designing, give us an email again at worldtriggerpodcast@yahoo.com. We are still kind of working out the kinks on that, and we'll soon be willing to take on some beta testers if they are willing, and we might even live stream this once I get that figured out. So, yep, once again, guys, thanks for listening, and trigger on into the future.